So just in the last 24 hours, we have had a ton of new Nintendo Switch news drop that I want to share with you guys today. The first of which is an official US commercial for Metroid Dread that is marketing the game alongside of the Switch OLED model. Then I also want to provide you guys a big update around the potential for a base model Switch price drop that we saw hit UK and Europe, and we now have official Nintendo statement on if they're planning to do this on the US or not. And then the big talking point for today's video is the fact that we had a surprise 13.00 system software update hit the Nintendo Switch yesterday, and I want to break down all the features and discussion points around this firmware because some are speculating that this may be a bigger update than we even realize. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, we are covering a few different stories today. The first of which I want to update you guys on briefly is the fact that we now have an official US commercial that is marketing Metroid Dread alongside of the Switch OLED model, and we've obviously covered this game a ton on the channel as it is just one that I am so pumped as a hardcore Metroid fan to be able to play through, and I'm just loving to see the continued marketing and media push that Nintendo is actually giving this title to prop it up to be a true AAA level game like Metroid deserves to be. Because if you guys haven't been around for a long time, you may not realize that Nintendo sometimes goes entire generations without releasing a Metroid game, such as the N64 and the Wii U era. And you know, there's just a lot of different reasons that this series is so near and dear to many hardcore Nintendo fans' hearts. And you know, we want to get it out to a broader audience so they continue to support the franchise and do new installments and bigger and better budgets for games like this going forward. So it's exciting to see this commercial. There's nothing new revealed or any other spoilers, like some fans are really getting upset with how much Nintendo is showing before this game is released, but I honestly think that it deserves the attention, and you need to expose enough of what Metroid 2D games are to people to get them excited enough and invested in this game as a full price $60 title like we know it will be releasing at. And I think, you know, nowadays with a lot of the newer generation, they see a 2D side scroller game and immediately think it's some kind of indie title, and that is not the case with how much love and care they're giving to Metroid Dread, not to mention the fact that it is wrapping up the Metroid 1 through 5 story arc, which we've been waiting a long time to see. So again, this is just another nice reminder that Nintendo is continuing to push this game and put more media dollars into it to push it out there to the mainstream with things like mainline commercials. And I also love the ending scene where you see it marketed alongside of the Switch OLED model, because we know that people who are going to go in on October 8th and purchase that Switch OLED model may see the new game Metroid Dread that released that day and pick it up even if they're not a major fan of the series. So I'm super excited for this one. I would love to know from you guys in the comments down below what you think of the US commercial overall, and if you think Nintendo is continuing to do the right thing with Metroid Dread, or if they've really kind of spoiled some of the game for you, because I know that is definitely a valid perspective from certain fans' opinions. So I would love to hear from you guys on Metroid Dread in the comments down below. Now from there, I got to update you guys on a major story we covered here on the channel, which is the fact that in Europe and UK regions, we saw a base model Nintendo Switch price drop happen over this last week. It was actually Monday of this week, and when that went live, and we were all wondering if this is going to be a global price adjustment or something that's just specifically tied to that Europe and UK region. And you know, my opinion on this is absolutely that Nintendo would probably not adjust it in one region and not others, but it was interesting that we haven't heard any kind of discussion point around Nintendo saying that it will be coming to other regions yet, and we already knew that the price adjustment did drop in the UK and Europe. So we now have an official statement from Nintendo themselves, or at least a media partner of Nintendo, and I want to quickly hop over to VGC and read through the article with you guys around Nintendo's statements on whether or not we will see this price adjustment come to larger global markets. Nintendo of America has said it has no plans to cut the price of the Switch after the company's European arm reduced the cost of the console. The platform holder confirmed this week that it had lowered the distribution price of the standard Switch in Europe, partly in preparation for the launch of the OLED model next month. Nintendo of America has since told Axios reporter Stephen Totolio that it has no intention of following suit. The trade price adjustment is for the European region only, a spokesperson said. There are no plans to change the manufacturer's suggested retail price for any Nintendo Switch model in the US. Switch launched in March of 2017, Switch Lite released in September 2019, and Switch OLED will launch in October 8th of 2021. Nintendo UK said in a statement issued to VGC on Monday, after carefully weighing up a variety of factors including the currency exchange rates in Europe and the upcoming launch of the Nintendo Switch OLED model, we decided that now was the appropriate time to change the European trade price of the Nintendo Switch. So if you do just take the article at face value and you believe that Nintendo of America is being honest here, it does sound like they have no plans to bring this price drop to any other regions around the world for the time being, or at least the US region specifically. But it will be interesting to watch the situation continue to unfold, because this is the first time in 4 years, 4.5 really, since the launch of the Switch, that we've seen any kind of price drop happen anywhere globally. So it is surprising to see it take place in one region and not others. But of course, they did emphasize that currency exchange rates and different things have moved, and that could, potentially play into part of their decision to do this. And I did myself kind of think it would be an interesting pricing structure to have a Switch base model on the shelf at something like a $250 alongside an OLED model, which only gives you the better screen and a better dock, and the LAN port type of functionality that isn't really that revolutionary or game changing for a whole extra $100. So maybe it does mean that we're not going to see the Switch base model price adjusted anytime soon, but I could still see Nintendo absolutely seeing how the OLED sells out of the gate, and then maybe rolling back the price over the holiday season on both the base model and the Switch OLED model, because I would be surprised to only see the $250 hit the base model and then still see the OLED sell at $350, unless if it's just something where they're trying to phase out the base model of the console altogether and just get rid of the stock that they have on hand and then only sell the Switch OLED model. And then at that point, you have to have the conversation of now you have to pay $350 to get a dockable Switch of any kind, unless if they do cut that extra $50 off of the price point. So it's probably a fluid situation. If you've been around as a Nintendo news tracker for a while, you will probably know that Nintendo is historically known for saying we have no plans to do something and then just surprise dropping it one day. So even if Nintendo does have this up their sleeves for something around the holiday season or in the upcoming months, I still wouldn't expect them to say to a journalist, oh yeah, guys, you got us. We actually are planning on doing this globally. So just so you know, you can report on it in your news article. We do have plans for a future price drop. They are notoriously known for saying they have no plans to do something, then turn around and do it. You can point back to Miyamoto being asked specifically about Majora's Mask being in development for the 3DS after we got the Ocarina of Time 3D remake, and he said, no, we have no plans of bringing Majora's Mask to the 3DS. We got that. Then more recently we had Skyward Sword HD asked about in 2019. We have no plans for Skyward Sword HD to come to the Switch. And then of course we got Skyward Sword HD on the Switch. And then you even have things like investor meetings whenever they ask Nintendo directly, hey, do you guys have any plans on new models of the Nintendo Switch hardware? And no, we don't have any new plans on Nintendo Switch hardware. So forgive me if I'm not as, believing of Nintendo whenever they say we don't have any plans for something. It might not be right around the corner, but it very well could be, and they're still not going to tell us in articles like this. So I just want to give you guys that little bit of perspective to keep in mind whenever you're reading through this article. But it does appear, if we take this as face value, that for the time being, the base model of the Switch will continue to be sold at $300 here in the US region. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about this, and if this, steers your decisions one way or another around any of the upcoming Switch lineup products. Now, the big story and talking point for today is actually honestly one that kind of cracks me up, because it's just Nintendo being Nintendo at the end of the day. Fans can ask and beg for things all day long, and they might just totally ignore it and act like it's not even a real thing or an issue that anybody cares about, and then just surprise announce it last minute out of the blue. And that's what we saw happen with 13.00 update last night. As I'm here in Central Time, and literally 7 p.m. Central Time, the tweet notification goes off. Nintendo of America has announced 13.00 firmware is live, and by the way, it includes Bluetooth audio headset support, which fans have been asking for since the release of the Switch. And here we are at 4.5 years plus in its life cycle, and Nintendo just decides to shadow drop this thing at Twitter with no build up, no announcement, nothing included at a Nintendo Direct. Just, oh, here's that feature you guys wanted, and by the way, there's some extra stuff included in there too. So to start off this story, I do want to quickly read through the entire list of patch notes as far as what's actually changed, because it might be bigger than just the fact that we're getting Bluetooth audio support, as there's some extra kind of things hidden in there that have fans talking like, are we going to see something down the line from this that we don't know about right now? So let's quickly hop over to VGC to read through the patch notes, and then I'll share my opinions on what I think this means for the future of the Switch software and hardware as a whole. Switch's latest system update finally adds Bluetooth audio support. Version 13.00 also adds the option to update the OLED docks firmware. Bluetooth audio support was added. Headphones, earbuds, speakers, and other Bluetooth audio devices can now be connected with the Nintendo Switch console for audio output. Bluetooth microphones are not supported. Up to 2 compatible wireless controllers can be connected to the console while using Bluetooth audio. Bluetooth audio cannot be used while local wireless communication is active. Depending on Bluetooth audio device, there may be some audio delay. For more information, see how to add and manage Bluetooth audio devices. Update dock was added under system in system settings for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch OLED model consoles, allowing for software updates to Nintendo Switch docks with a LAN port. Dock software updates are not available for Nintendo Switch docks without a LAN port. This feature was not added for Nintendo Switch Lite systems. For more information, see how to update dock firmware. Maintain wired connection in sleep mode was added under sleep mode in system settings. When this setting is enabled, consoles with wired internet connections will maintain internet connection even while in sleep mode. This allows for software and DLC download to the console while it's in sleep mode. The setting is enabled by default. When the setting is disabled, the console will connect to the internet only periodically, which decreases power consumption. Note, consoles that are not updated to 13.00 or later will behave as if this setting is enabled. The method to indicate calibrate control sticks in system settings was changed. From the system settings, go to controllers and sensors, select calibrate control sticks, then fully tilt the control stick in any direction and keep it tilted for a few seconds to begin calibration. Users can now view whether their wireless internet connection is using the 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz frequency band under connection status after selecting internet in system settings. Now, there was another article from Nintendo Everything that also said that this update does include an update for the Joy-Con controllers themselves. I have not tested that out myself, but I would love to hear from you guys if you were able to go in and actually update your controllers and if that made any kind of difference with the Bluetooth connection status. But here's a couple high points of this update. One, Nintendo did do something that fans have been asking for a long time, and they honestly implemented it in the best way out of all the other console manufacturers, because if you guys don't have a PS5 or PS4 or any of the other competitor consoles, you may not know that just because Bluetooth devices are supported does not mean that they support all the Bluetooth devices. Like, I cannot use my AirPods with my PS5 because Sony has just chosen to block out that signal, and they want you to go ahead and buy their wireless headsets, or you have to buy something that has like a base station that you can plug into the USB audio, and then you get your wireless connection that way. So they're very picky on which headsets they will actually support, whereas Nintendo chose to go the route of just supporting everything. And that's probably because they don't make wireless headsets on their own, or they're not really geared towards chat, and we're not getting the ability to use microphones from any of these headsets. But still, for me, I primarily use AirPods when I'm out and about and on the go, so being able to sync those up with a Nintendo Switch in handheld mode is going to be a huge win for me. I'm definitely glad that we saw this update just dropped out of the blue onto the Switch, and especially before the Switch OLED's release, because I do think that if you're trying to market that as a handheld upgrade for their existing console, that it's a good thing to be able to say, hey, by the way, you can now use Bluetooth headsets with your console when you're on the go or even in docked mode, which is going to be nice for a lot of people too, who may be playing next to their loved one or around their family, and they want to just have their own headset. That now you can actually be doing this in docked mode too. So instead of having the sound come through the TV, you can have your Switch, and be far away from it and still hear in your earbuds when you're sitting down on the couch enjoying your gameplay session. So I think this is a win all the way around. Now, a big thing that did have a lot of people talking is this new feature that we don't really know what it entails, and I want to make that super clear at this point of filming the video, is that there is an update dock feature, and we don't know why it's there, because up to this point in time, there has been zero need to actually update a dock in the Nintendo Switch, because there's no real extra chipset components that would need to be updated. Now, you could say that maybe this is tied to the LAN port and that's why it's in there, but there's also a lot of rumors and speculation around, will this new Nintendo Switch dock that comes with the LAN port have some other kind of chipset or something bigger that we don't know as far as how it could be implemented, and Nintendo may want to enable something like a software update to it down the line to enable, who knows, maybe bigger, better graphics performance. Probably not. I would be surprised if it's in this dock, but until we get an official teardown of the dock, there's no telling for sure. So, it is something that I do believe that data miners a while back also found like some kind of connection with how Nintendo Switch was talking to the dock, and it was going to be different going forward in the firmware. And that's another reason that those 4K Switch Pro rumors popped up out of the blue and really went crazy, because there was a lot of things pointing towards it. Then you had all the, Bloomberg's and the different media publication backing it all up. So, it is interesting that we saw some of what Switch OLED had to offer go right, but they were not everything. But then at the same time, if this dock was capable of 4K, you would have to ask the question, why would Nintendo not be leading that in their marketing, or leading the fact that it can support performance upgrades, unless if they're just going to enable it down the line. So all of this stuff is up for debate and speculation right now. I don't know where I exactly fall on it. Like, I would much rather wait to hold my opinion back on this update dock scenario until we get the dock in hand, and I'm sure you're going to have tons of videos from tech people tearing it apart and seeing everything that the dock actually has to offer in there. And I think at that point we can come back to this discussion topic and see if we have more information to point us on if there's something bigger with this update dock scenario or not. But at this point in the video, guys, I would love to hear all your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about today. Are you interested in picking up Metroid Dread on day one? I know a lot of you guys in the comments are, and I would love to hear from you on if you're, enjoying the way that Nintendo is marketing this game, or if you're kind of more on the camp that you think they're exposing too much of the game before its release. And then also let me know your thoughts around the price drop situation on the base model Switch, and if you think that we will see Nintendo kind of backtrack on their comments that Nintendo of America made and actually still give us a price drop here in the US anyway, or if they're being honest and for the foreseeable future we won't have any kind of price adjustments on the Nintendo Switch base model. And then the big thing I want to hear from you guys on is, what did you think about the Bluetooth audio support added into the Switch that was a surprise drop last night? Are you going to be using it yourself? And then do you think that this update dock means anything bigger than just the fact that maybe they need to make some adjustments to the LAN port as time goes on? So I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around the topic, so make sure you comment down below before you do leave the video. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's gonna do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.